Hello and welcome to episode 28 of Crucible Boot Camp. I'm your host King Koala, and today we're going to be taking a look at a Rumble match by a guy that sent me this video via Crucible Playbook on our gameplay critique sticky. I asked for permission to use this. It's going to be a Rumble match, like I said, on Vertigo. He's using a hand cannon and a shotgun, and this is on Rise of Iron, so he's using the palindrome, which is a wonderful weapon that if you don't have it yet, you should definitely look into picking it up. Well, let's go ahead and get started. All right. So again, just a quick review of Rumble. Remember that we're trying to get into engagements as quickly as possible. We don't want to spend much time trying to find people. He has a nice little jump engage there, and that's pretty much the last jump engage I see Flash Storm do for the rest of the game. He does really well looking for from cover in these areas. You can see he's kind of not completely exposing himself for these fights. He goes back and kills basically the same guy that he just killed before. But every single time that Flash Storm goes for an engagement, it's always at head level. There's no sliding and there's no jumping. So that's the first thing you want to do is if you're struggling and you're just finding yourself, not winning these engagements. We're not winning Rumble matches. You gotta start there. You gotta start from engaging in ways that aren't completely obvious. By constantly staying completely heads up, you're gonna always give free information to your opponents. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to fight, standing up straight all the time, unless we're pushing into someone. Now, when you run Shade Step as a shotgunner, for the most part, you never want to shade step into people, especially if someone's above you on high ground. You want to use your shade step either defensively to bait them into you. So a good idea would have been to push up to this, to the stairs on Vertigo, and then shade step backwards, so you pull the person out of their cover into your line of sight. Or when you go up, you need to shade step around in order to properly assess where your target is. This ends up being a choke point for you, so you don't really want to push this location and shade step forward like our hero does, because that's what's going to happen most of the time that you do that. So again, there's really only 3 places on the map that engagements are going to take place. It's going to, well, I guess 4. So there's these spawn locations A and C on the back of Vertigo, and then there's a long lane from B that goes all the way over here to each heavy. So if you just patrol one of those 2 sides, that's where you're going to find most people. You don't want to wait around for too long because you're going to end up falling behind by all the people that end up spawning and just next to each other and just pushing into each other. So a lot of the time that he's searching for his targets, again, he's doing it from head up, and there's very little shade stepping that actually goes on. If you're not going to run if you're going to run shade step, you have to use it all the time. Otherwise, there's no point in you running Nightstalker in the first place, because shade step is the entire reason you run Nightstalker. It's not for tether, it's not for smoke, it's for shade step. It's the best movement game in the best non-exotic perk movement in the game, and you need to take advantage of that. It's the strongest part of your kit. These times where you're jumping into players, you want to be shade stepping in and out of the engagement. One or the other. I would highly suggest shade stepping out of the engagement. In the engagement is a little bit more difficult. And he's sprinting around, but for the most part, there's a lot of walking going on. So we want to be aggressively pushing up to our targets. Okay, as soon as we get to this point, we have a smoke. So we're smoking the ground in front of us onto our target, which is good. But we want to immediately shade step as soon as we hit the ground. This person, if they have a shotgun and they kill the person in front of you, they're going to just turn on you immediately and kill you, right? So we want to shade step back so we can get out of that shotgun lane, maybe jump up into the air to get some primary shots down because they're going to be smoked, or just shotgun them ourselves. That's also going to protect you from 2 things. One, you can see this little indicator here on my bottom right, I'm circling it right now, that's a grenade indicator, and you saw that he axiom bolted right in front of him. Also, there's a firebolt coming in front of you, and Shade Step has this great thing where it stops tracking. So if you have a skip grenade on you, if you have an axiom bolt on you, if someone's firebolting you or someone's arc bolting you, if you Shade Step in the middle of that tracking period, it's going to drop the tracking completely, and the grenades aren't going to do anything. So we need to be Shade Stepping so we don't get hit by everything at once. If he Shade Steps there, the axiom bolt wouldn't have hit him, and the firebolt wouldn't have finished him off. Again, we're spawning. We know someone was in B, so we're going to push up to B. Again, head level in the middle of a traffic lane. We're in the very center of a traffic lane. And I'm going to show you after this how you should be approaching these areas in Vertigo. But for now, this is the middle of a traffic lane. Our places for cover are on either side of us, and we're in the middle. So if we do end up getting fired upon from someone that is on B, we're going to die. We need to be approaching around either corner. So either to the left on this box here, which again, it exposes us, but it's going to let us pull into cover, or to the right here, around the pillar and around the crate. That's going to keep us under cover to get close enough into shotgun range. Pushing through the middle of the lane here and then waiting in the center of it is just asking to be killed. So the push up here is good, but again, we should be Shade Stepping around. And if someone is going to push us like that, if someone's going to push into us and we're running a shotgun, you just switch to your shotgun. They're doing all the work for you. All you need to do is hit them when they're in range. If you're unsure of where your target is during the engagement, you should Shade Step out of it. Because if you can't properly get a shot on your target, but you know where they, you know where they are, just Shade Step back and reset the engagement. Here, you could Shade Step either, I would suggest in this situation, Shade Stepping into B to the right, or back into that corner to your back right. And at this point, you don't need to do anything. Your target pulled back into cover, you know exactly where they are. All you have to do is throw a grenade right here in front of you. It's going to cut across, and it's going to flush them out. So they're either going to retreat backwards towards the hazard pay box, or they're going to push into you. If they push into you, you Shade Step around them and shotgun them. They've done all the work that you needed to do to close the gap already, because they're trying to escape your grenade. If they push away, you push up through cover, and you primary them down, because they're primed already. You know, it's going to take 2 headshots instead of a headshot and 2 body shots to finish them off if they get primed by that grenade. If you do end up pushing someone like this, and you jump into the air, you want to be acquiring your target through hip fire instead of trying to ADS to hit them. You just need to get as much damage on them as possible while they're pushing you, especially if you're taking hits. You don't need to worry about trying to line up perfect shots. You just need to be getting shots off. Again, we don't want to push in the middle of traffic lanes, because like you're completely exposed right now, and he gets to dip in and out of cover. You're really lucky that firebolt didn't go over the edge, because you probably wouldn't have Shade Stepped out of it. It's dangerous to be in this spot here, because to our left, just barely to our left, I'll pause it as soon as we're there. Here, there's some barrels, or tanks, I guess, air tanks, or chemical tanks here, that if they get shot or get hit with a grenade, they explode and they die. So you need to be wary of that when you push this lane. So you need to commit, which is good. He's kind of pushing up, checking, but we're checking in the center of the lane. We need to be checking with part of our body closed off. We need to have our shoulder on the wall. We need to only be able to see half of our screen, so that way we're still under cover, and we can easily dip back into cover if we end up getting challenged. If there was a sniper down this lane and we're just charging headlong into it, you're going to get domed. You need to be sliding or Shade Stepping or jumping around these corners. Here as well. Jump or slide or Shade Step around that corner. And now that we're not really aggressively pushing into people, we're running behind. We were ahead in this match, but now we're down 400 points because we're playing way too passively. In order to win Rumble games, you have to push into people. You can't wait for them to come to you. And that's the beauty of using a shotgun, is it's okay to push into people. You're sliding or shade stepping around this corner, pushing up into cover. And now we're just playing Ring Around the Rosie because we have no idea where people are going to move on this map. You see someone, push them. You don't need to stay ADS. Just push into them. You saw he was weak. You have a shotgun. You just need to push into him. So, finally gets him on the third shot. Again, as soon as we get a kill, we need to be thinking, where's my next kill going to come from? You don't want to wait for it. You just want to go to it. So, really nice shots there. You need to be shade stepping back into cover, which he does, finally. And he's sliding around, but you can't just move around if you don't know. You can't move into someone if you don't know where they are. If you get shot from the rear, as he's going to get right there, you can see on his radar there's someone right behind them. You need to shade step away and completely disengage from this fight. So moving forward, and you can dip back into cover, and there's a lot of cover out here. It's the beauty of being on B is you have a lot of options to leave. What you don't want to do, and so this is perfect. We've shade step backwards. We can try to move out of cover and disengage. We have a wombo up, so we have our smoke and we have our grenade up, so we can cover our escape very, very easily. You don't necessarily have to use your smoke. You can just throw a grenade out to discourage people from pushing you and continue down the path. What you don't want to do is jump up to try to acquire a target or slide back into them, especially when we're absolute. That was a very easily winnable double. If we just keep aware of our escape routes. So again, this is the kind of push that you need to make as a shotgun. Even though that doesn't quite end up in your favor, that's the kind of push you need to be making. When you get to the point that you jump at someone here, and you miss your shot or you don't have a shot, as soon as you hit the ground, you need a shade step. You need to get used to, as soon as someone gets out of your vision, you shade step to reset the engagement to reacquire your target and try to finish them off. Also, he throws an Axiom Bolt straight down at you. If you shade step here as well, you can shade step to the right and completely disengage. It's going to block the tracking on that Axion, and we can cover our escape again with our wombo. We haven't used that yet. But instead, we stayed committed to the fight, and without breaking that tracking, the Axion just finishes us off. You would have been better off running Blade Dancer and just throwing a skip in front of you if you aren't going to use Wombo. This Wombo, I like the idea behind it, but you don't really want to use both abilities if you're trying to find a target. If you see the target and you know you're going to hit them, which is normally within shotgun range, or just a bit out in about fusion range, then just throw your smoke and stick them with it, right? And you can throw your grenade and then just run away because it's going to kill them. But if our target dips back into cover like this and we have no idea really where they are, all you want to do is throw your grenade. It's really a Hail Mary to hit them with smoke, especially now that it doesn't jump suppress and they can just jump out of your grenade. You should just throw the grenade here and keep the smoke for when someone ends up pushing you. Smoke is the easiest way for you to win every single engagement. Someone's pushing you with a shotgun, you smoke them and backpedal, or you smoke them and hit them out of their one-hit range because your shotgun doesn't need to do as much damage to finish them off. Or if you approach someone aggressively with your shotgun, you get to just smoke them and then shade step around them in order to finish them off with your shotgun. A little point here: if you go for heavy and you're ready to pick it up, you should be switching to your heavy as you're picking it up. You want to be heavy ready, especially because people are going to push you and rumble. When you pick it up, again, we're a Nightstalker. Shade step back, jump straight up into the air, and hit them. Instead, he just constantly backpedals, which is good. We want to create that negative space, but if we shade step after our initial jump back, we're going to be able to acquire our target as opposed to, commit suicide on accident. So again, aggressively push into people, Unfortunately, you just missed his shots there. It's not a big deal. But that was a good push. Those are the kind of engagements you want to see. I want to see. If you're going to improve, you need to be doing those kind of engagements. Again, slide or jump around this corner. Don't walk at head level. You're just asking to be sniped or asking to be picked off. So this is a good challenge on the sniper, but don't just let him get away for free. And I want to bring up another point as well, because he does end up getting shotgunned here. Hard scoping isn't just something that snipers do. Hard scoping is something that anyone can do if they stay ADS'd for too long. As soon as your target leaves, you no longer need to be ADS'd. There's a very short time between when you're not ADS'd and when you are ADS'd. So you don't need to worry about if he just suddenly comes back into view, you aren't going to be prepared for him. You know where he was. It's more important that you know where everyone else is at the same time. In Rumble, in these engagements, you have to commit to them. You have to be pushing into people. You have to be aggressively trying to finish someone off. You can't just let them get away for free. That's something that you can get away with in threes or in elimination, because you don't want to take as many risks. But if we're going to... The whole point of Rumble is to win our ones, and to win our ones quickly. That's how we're going to win the entire match. So at this point, we need to just be pushing into him. Jump over this, slide, shade step forward, and try to get back within range. Don't give him an opportunity to leave. And you just get shotgunned because, again, staying ADS like that is exactly like hard scoping. If you wouldn't hard scope there for very long, you shouldn't ADS there for very long either. Even if you have third eye, you shouldn't get in the habit of that. That push is perfect. Except you need to shade step there again. Someone hits you with a firebolt, then you shouldn't be getting hit with any kind of tracking grenade ever as a Nightstalker, unless they bait your shade step. And if they do that, then it's a good play on their part. There's really nothing you could have done about that. But that's what they have to do to deal with you. If they just get to throw firebolts and skip grenades and whatever at you for free, then, again, there's no point to you playing Nightstalker, because you're giving up a lot of the power of the class. You're better off using something with a more powerful neutral game that ignores jump, which would be Blade Dancer. Again, you get blinted like that, you need to be more defensive and just shade step back into cover. You have a shotgun. You are most dangerous when you are absolute in Rumble, because people want to push you, and you should be pushed when you're absolute. But that's your opportunity to bait someone into your shotgun. So we started off really strong in this match. We were neck and neck at about 400 points, but then we just didn't get any more kills, and that was for several reasons. The first is, if you're going to win a Rumble match, you have to be more aggressive about pushing into players, and you have to know where they spawn and where they're going to go. So, and the second thing is, if you're going to use Shade Step as a Nightstalker, then use Shade Step as a Nightstalker all the time. You should be sliding or jumping into every single traffic lane you go into. Your gun skill is fine. You can win your 1v1s. And if you're getting out shotgun, it's because you're too aggressively pushing into people, like that time that you Shade Step into someone. So practicing shotgun baits or practicing allowing people to close the gap for you would definitely be another thing that I would suggest you do. And then finally, the fact that you stay in ADS long enough to get shotgun from the back tells me that you're spending too much time waiting for someone to make a mistake and not creating situations where you allow them to make a mistake. So what I mean by that is you can't play passively and expect people to do the wrong thing. The wrong thing being them moving out of cover into your sight and you just getting a free kill onto them. Once you get good enough and you start getting into these different skill level tiers, players aren't going to do that anymore. They aren't going to get baited by you. They aren't just going to have their sprint button held down the entire time. They're going to play a lot more methodically. And so you have to as well. You have to learn how to approach someone in order to kill them. And to do that, you have to play incredibly aggressively to learn where your limits are. And playing incredibly passively isn't going to help you win any matches. It's just going to help you punish people for their mistakes. Not only do you need to know how to punish people for their mistakes, but you need to be able to put them in situations where it's easy for them to make a mistake. So if you aggressively push into someone through cover and they don't move, then you get to shotgun them for free. And they made a mistake then. But if you push around and then wait behind cover and wait for someone to show up, and they never show up, like what happened a lot in this game, we're going to fall further and further behind and end up losing. And in this case, 1,400 points is a very large gap for a Rumble match. And that's normally because we're just not finding targets fast enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and go into a private game and look at Vertigo and kind of how I would move around Vertigo if I was in your position. So I'll even go on to my Nightstalker to better show you how I would do it. Okay. Yeah, contrary to popular belief, I do not have 3 Titans. I have one of every class, capable of playing everything. I'm just a lot better and vastly prefer playing a Titan. It's But I mean, I've played every subclass. I know how they all function. It's important to know how they all function, so you know how to counter them. There are specific timings where a class is weakest, right? So like Nightstalker, you have the cooldown on your Shade Step. So that's an opportunity for you to deal with someone that Shade Steps, is just to wait for that to go on cooldown and then engage them. Okay, so let me put on Shade Step. We'll just keep it how it is for now. Bunch of junk gear. So. Okay, so Vertigo. Now on Rumble, like I said, there's basically 4 different locations where you're going to get into engagements. And there's 2 traffic lanes. So there's 4 areas that you can rotate around, and 2 traffic lanes you have to move through in order to get to those areas. So we'll go over them one by one, and I'll kind of show you how I would move through them. So as you can see, we spawn in the same spot. So this is the first area that people are going to come to. And the traffic lanes are going to be here. Right? There's going to be a traffic lane here, and there's going to be a traffic lane here. So knowing that, if we do end up moving through these, we need to move through them quickly. And so I'm just going to move as quickly as I can through cover. You notice I'm never in the center of this lane. I'm just moving back and forth through cover. If you want to push down this lane, you can slide and Shade Step forward here, which is going to cover your body from all that angle here. Whereas, if you're in the center of the lane, it's really easy for someone to hit you. But if you're on this corner here, they're not going to get a chance, right? And so then you can slide and Shade Step sideways to get under cover. So this is the second area. People spawn here, and they either move that way, or they move up here. So again, if you just cover those traffic lanes, you can find people. Or go to these areas, you can find people. So again, I'm just going to push forward and stay under cover. And I'm going to Shade Step from cover. So when the cooldown's down, I'm just going to try to peel around. Again, stay under cover. So this is the third area. So remember how we're spawning out on C? Well, now we're going to cover anyone moving up to try to go to the B area here. And we're going to be able to cover B. But again, we don't want to push up here, because as you can see, it's pretty hard to just walk or sprint back into cover, right? Because you're still exposed all the way over here. It's easy to Shade Step back into cover, which is something you definitely should be doing if you're in the center of a traffic lane, which is also why it's okay as a Nightstalker to go into the center of a traffic lane, but you just have to remember you need to Shade Step away into cover in order to deal with that. So you get a little advantages for running Shade Step because it makes you safer. How I would approach, though, is I would go around here, because this is the situation where you're most exposed, right? And the way you deal with that is just straight stepping forward. So now, again, we're undercover. The worst thing that could happen to us is someone lightning grenades us there, and we get tagged, right? But if we get tagged there, we just shade step away. Again, we're still undercover. If they push us, we have a shotgun, so we can deal with them. So how do we push up here? Well, with that, if we have a shotgun, like I said, you push forward, you shade step backwards to pull it back, and just shotgun them. If you have a spike grenade, you can spike here. Or you can smoke, and then shade step backwards. Back into cover. If they get tagged, that's your opportunity to move up and shotgun them. If they don't, then you move up and you shade step around them. Okay, so now we're in the center of B. This is my favorite spot on this map. If you have a longer range primary, you can deal with anyone that moves through these traffic lanes here. But most importantly, you need to put your back to this. Not up top, because like what happened earlier, we got crossfired, right? We got hit in the back. So we want to put our back to this when we search down for these targets. As you can see, I can easily shade step forward into cover. So I can search here, find my target, take him out, shade step into cover. And now that my back is not exposed to anyone hitting behind me, I can continue to search for more targets. So maybe someone's in B, so I can deal with them that way. Maybe someone comes around, so I shade step around and jump and try to shotgun them. And as soon as I finish that engagement, I'm pushing back into cover. Again, back to a wall, checking behind me. Okay, I want to push here, so I can push down. Make sure you blow up the box when you're up here. If you ever decide you're gonna push down there, blow up the box first, go into cover, move down. Stay in cover. You have a shotgun, so it's not scary. You can deal with anyone coming above you. Push into cover here. Stick to cover here. You can even jump up on top here and just wait for someone with your shotgun. Maybe this is a point where you can stay standing up, so people know where you are, but they're gonna think you're on the ground, or they're gonna think you're over around here. So you can just bait someone. They push into you, you kill them. As soon as you kill someone, you're shade stepping back into cover, back into cover. You don't want to push this corner because you're going to be exposed. What you want to do is push this way, here. And this gives you an out here. You can shade step this way, get behind the boxes. Again, I'm constantly behind cover. I'm not staying in the center of the lane here where it's easy for a shotgunner to just push over this box and kill me. I'm keeping my distance, and in case they do push over that box to try to shotgun me, I can easily counter shotgun them. And this ends the rotation. So this is, you can move the entire way around this map. Just like that. So hopefully that helps you out for your future Vertigo matches. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. If you want to support the stream, again, you can become a Patreon backer. It's basically the same as being a Twitch sub, but there's extra goodies involved. So if you want to do that, feel free. All the information is going to be linked in the description below. I always appreciate your support. And next time, I'm going to definitely be doing threes because it's been too long since I did threes. I still need to look to see what I am going to use, but I'm probably going to use non-hunter since I did 2 hunter back-to-back matches. But yeah, I've been your host, King Koala, and class is dismissed. See you guys next time.